one thing I've never understood about that Tesco is I have a fire extinguisher by the bike parking. It's like if a bike parks in front of there, what happens if there's a fire? Do you just push the bike out the way, destroy someone's bike? Like, I don't know, it just seems dumb to me. Screw it, we'll take a shortcut. Gonna take me forever to get through that way otherwise. I made it. I took a shortcut, ended up in more traffic, but then I kind of got to this traffic faster than I would have done in the other traffic, so it kind of worked, I guess. But yeah, that's one thing I never understood about that Tesco, is like, why put bike parking right in front of a fire extinguisher? Or why put the fire extinguisher there? Surely that is just a health and safety hazard, unless it's there if a bike catches fire, and it's like, yeah, you can put it out with this thing. That's the only logical thing I can think of, actually, and that kind of makes a bit of sense. So, actually, maybe that's the reason. But speaking of silly things, even though it might not be silly, but the other day, oh my god, I did something really embarrassing. I ended up spilling petrol all over my tank, and it was because I put the nozzle like all the way in, and then I was filling up my tank, and normally I know that I can fill it up to like 7.5 litres or something like that. 7 and something litres if it's got like 1 bar of fuel left. When I was filling it up, you know, like when you fill up to a certain point, if you've got the nozzle all the way in, once the petrol in the tank hits the petrol coming out of the nozzle, it will like click off, because basically it fills up with pressure or something like that. I don't know the full science of it, but that's what Spicy briefly explained to me. So that happened, but what happened is I was watching the dial thing go round, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm getting to 7 point something litres, I'm going to take it out now because that's enough for me. So I release off of the handle. Fucking hell, he's trying to die with his dog. And this is a 40-mile-an-hour road as well. Dangerous, man. Put his life and his dog's life in danger. But yeah, just as I was like releasing the, I don't know what you call it, the handle, the pump, the little trigger thing, I was pulling the nozzle out at the same time. And at the same time I was releasing and pulling it out, then suddenly it went psh, psh. And that sounds really wrong actually, but basically the pressure hit and it went to click off. But as it did that, it kind of backfired on itself. So it ended up splashing petrol up, and I think what happened was, because I was also lifting the nozzle out, I think it didn't turn off in time. So what happened is when I lifted it out, I think there was still petrol coming out of it, even though I had my hand off the thing, and it just spilt all over my tank. And I was like, oh my god. All I could see was just this rush of petrol all over my tank, just sliding down. And I thought, oh no, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So I very calmly, probably as calm as I've ever been, made sure nothing else was dripping out of the nozzle, and then put it slowly back on the thing where it's supposed to be. And then I was like, what am I going to do about this? I've just covered my bike in petrol. I ended up finding a load of tissues. Thankfully, there were thousands of them. So I grabbed a whole bunch of them and just started manically wiping my bike and wiping all the paintwork, wiping whatever I could that I thought the petrol had got onto. But it was all over the front. It was like dripping down it. And I was like, oh no, don't go onto the... I thought maybe it would go on the radiator, because I've got a radiator at the front of this bike. But it literally was all going sliding down here and sliding down there. I think some of it went on there. So I had to wipe that off, and it's already got bits of chipped paint on there. If anyone knows of a paint that I can use to like retouch that up, let me know, because I would love for the chips not to be there. It kind of came with the chips there, so there isn't really anything I can do about it. But if there's a way to like paint it where it doesn't look bad, you know, if it doesn't look like a bodge job, let me know. I'd like to know that. But yeah, so I was just wiping all this petrol off. And then as I'm doing that, I'm like right next to the bike, because I'm obviously making sure I've got the petrol off of everything, and I'm cleaning it. And then obviously I'm just sniffing up all this petrol, and then all I can smell is petrol. And I'm like, oh my god. Luckily none of it really spilt on the floor. I think there was a really tiny, tiny patch And I was like, okay, that's fine. I've not like spilt petrol everywhere. It's just gone onto my bike and dripped on my bike, which is fine. Well, it's not fine, but it's fine because I cleaned it up. And then my bike just stunk of petrol. And I know some people love the smell of petrol. They like to sniff it and whatever. But you know, I don't mind the smell of petrol, but I don't love it. I don't want to actively go and smell petrol. So then I'm like having to start my bike up, and I'm really scared. I did go and pay for the petrol after that, by the way. So like I done that, I cleaned it, and then I went to pay for the petrol. I didn't just leave it there. And then once I paid for the petrol, I came back and I was like, right, well, now I'm gonna have to start my bike up. And I was so scared. I was like, oh God, what if there is still petrol on it? What if my bike catches fire when I start riding off? What am I gonna do? And I started the bike up and nothing happened. And I was like, okay, good, it's not exploded. I don't know if it would do that, but I was thinking that. And all I could smell was petrol, and I thought I'll just slowly ride away. So I was slowly riding, and I thought I'm not going to put like loads of pressure on the engine or like rev it high and make it really hot just in case there's bits of petrol on it. And I thought maybe if there is a little bit that I've missed, hopefully it just evaporates off. And when I told Spicy about this when I came home, he was like saying about how dangerous it is, and I was like, I do know, it's very, very dangerous. So that is a point to you guys. Be very careful. I know it's like the first time I've ever done that in my life, in the whole 4 years I've been riding and been around cars and anything. This is just a one-time thing, but it is very dangerous, because he was actually saying that if it had gone onto my headers, it could have caught fire. And I was like, great, then I would have been on a fire motorcycle, and then I wouldn't have known what to do. But then if it had got on the headers and my bike caught fire, it probably could have, like, I don't know, exploded, or maybe not exploded, but it would have caught fire, and then I would have been in a really bad position. And I don't know what I would have done in that situation, but he was like, if it didn't catch fire in the when you rode it away, then, or in the first minute or so, then you were fine. So I was fine. I ended up going to Tesco, and then the bike was still stinking of petrol. Just because the smell was so strong. And then, unless it was still in my nose, and that's why I could smell it. Yeah, by the end of the day it was fine. It didn't stink of petrol anymore, and obviously there was no petrol on any other parts of the paintwork. It hasn't seemed to done any damage to the paint either, so that's good. And it hasn't gone on my radiator, it hasn't gone on my headers or anything like that. So I'm safe. I think that's why the tanks are shaped the way they are, so if you do spill stuff on them, it goes in certain places that aren't going to cause problems for other things. But yeah, that's just my lesson to you guys. Pay attention. Well, I was paying attention, but it was just two things happened at the same time. I was like, oh, that's enough petrol now, I can take the thing out. And then at the same time, the petrol pump was like, that's enough petrol now, we need to shut this off. And then it just went psh, psh. And before I knew it, what the fuck is that in the road? The fucking box! The little cardboard box in the road. He just ran it over! He does not care. He cared not for any box. But I'm not going to run that over. I'm not gonna, I'd probably hit it and then crash. At least I would have caught it on camera, but I don't want any part of that. Go around the box, thank you very much. Well, at least the car man's destroyed it now anyway. Just annihilated it. I don't know if you saw it in the mirror, but it was there and then suddenly it was gone. What is this? Where's all this stuff in the road? These people, they're just throwing stuff everywhere. Or someone's got a truck and it's all just coming out. My God. Hopefully there's no more other things. But anyway, as I was saying, yeah, that's my lesson. Just be careful. And if you do get petrol on your bike, make sure you clean it off of everything. Make sure it's not on any of the, I don't know, any of the parts that will get hot. Make sure you maybe like wheel it to the side or something, let it sit for a bit. So, and if it's going to catch fire, it'll probably do it when you start it up. So maybe do that first before you get on it, just in case. I don't know. Don't take advice from me. I'm not an expert. It's just I'm sharing a story of what happened to me, and I just thought, what an idiot. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And there were these two men in this van, and I don't know if they were talking to me or if they weren't talking to me, but I don't know. It was just stupid, and I was like, what an idiot. So yeah, again, I'm still failing at doing simple stuff on my bike for some reason. I don't know. It doesn't happen all the time, guys. I just share it because it's funny and it makes me laugh. But yeah, that's all I really want to talk about today. So be careful when you fill your bikes up, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.